Hi guys, Brant here, and welcome to another video. Oh boy, you've seen the developer update. You know what's coming. You know the pain that is about to arrive within our laps. It is the skill-based matchmaking. I've already made a video about why the skill-based matchmaking is going to be a bleak outlook, and I'll put that up there. But I wanted to get it a little bit more thorough than that video, because that video was more of like a gut reaction, so it was a little bit more intense and kind of throwing my feelings out there. These I want to get like a little bit more in depth, so I'm going to show you 5 reasons why the skill-based matchmaking is going to suck. Number 1, no perk or item limitations. So I've been watching a lot of comp DVD lately, which is funny because, you know, I don't really think this game's good for comp, but you know, I've been watching the tournaments. It's really interesting to see how they play. It's really cool, but the one thing I always see is that they seem to have this understanding that, you know, the game is survivor-sided and pretty heavily so. So they have to put limits where that comes to perks, items, whatever, which is funny because one of my most disliked videos on this channel is me, you know, doing a visualization of how the game's survivor-sided. So what are you doing? Anyways, since they know that the survivor side of the game is just kind of like a done deal for the most part, they tried to limit the perks and items that they can bring. You're not going to get a full team of DS Dead Hard. Like, you know, only 2 people on the team can bring DS. Only 2 people on the team can bring Dead Hard. Only 2 people on the team can bring a flashlight. Only 2 people on the team can bring medkit. You know, that sort of thing. So they make sure that these situations don't get out of hand or so crazily imbalanced that it's super scary. Right, and it's super unfair, and the killer's having absolutely zero fun. Or the killer stands no chance, essentially. Like, they have these limits. Pub matches don't have limits. You can literally use whatever you want. The reason competitive tournaments have those in place is so those incredibly lopsided games don't happen. But there's no such thing like that. There's no such thing like that in the skill-based matchmaking that's coming up. So we're going to have some absolutely horrendous, lopsided, miserable matches on the killer side of things. We just are. Even on the killer side of things, do you really want to be facing like Nurse or Spirit with 4 slowdown every single match? Do you really want that? Is that the thing that you really want? Because that's what's coming. Number 2, this is kind of like piggybacks on this one. Only sweaty matches all the time. Yay! So, essentially, this is the sucky thing, because I feel like the skill-based matchmaking is built to punish you for doing well and not reward you for doing well. And I know they do the rank thing where they give you blood points and all that wonderful stuff, but I feel like all in all, they're punishing you for doing well, because what's going to happen is you're going to want to play your main, and you're going to play your main character, and it's going to be sweaty 4-man, sweaty 3 stacked with 1 rando, sweaty 4-man. It's going to be really, really intense matches, and you're going to get like 4 or 5 of them in a row, and you're going to be like, man, I don't really feel like playing my main killer anymore. I'm just going to move on, right? And then you play that character that you haven't played in a while, or maybe very, very little. Let's say you're trying to learn Nurse for the first time, and they're going to be, you know, just bashing people who with like 100 hours in the game, so they're not having fun, and you're like finally getting to have some normal matches. But eventually you'll get to that point with that character too, where every match is just really frustrating and awful now because it's all a sweat fest, because I have decided that I have done well with this character, you know. So then you're gonna go to another character. I mean, you realize that eventually you will run out of characters, and everybody on your roster will have a high skill-based matchmaking. You'll have a high rank, and then, you know, you're only going to get sweaty matches, period. And that sounds like a wonderful future to live in. Oh boy. Number 3, do new killers even have MMR, or does that just mean we're going to be scrub stomping for a little bit? I think this is a really pertinent question, because in 5.20, which is the patch that's coming out where this all gets released, we're going to have a new killer. We're going to have Pinhead. Does the stuff that we did, the PTB, count? Because I know I played only customs. Yeah, I tried to get into a pub match, but, like, you know, there's no new survivors, so there's no survivor players really, and I end up having to just do customs. Do I have 0 MMR with Pinhead? When Pinhead drops 5.20, am I going to be like... Am I just going to have 0 MMR and just, like, be blasting newbies? Is that what's going to be happening? Is that what's going to happen to every single new killer? Because that doesn't sound like a lot of fun. If that's how that works, that sounds like, whew, That sounds horrible. That means that Survivor players are going to dread new killers coming into the game, regardless of how they're designed, which is not great. Not great at all. Number 4, this one's a little bit more complicated, and this is one that I didn't even like think of till people started bringing up in the community, is that like, how do you like compare killer and survivor's skill? Like how, like, okay, so like survivor skill is like loop the pallet as many times as possible before dropping it, and then drop it instead of risking it. You know, safe drop it after looping it a few times, right? What is comparable on the killer side to that? Like what is the other thing that's kind of like that on the killer side? And there isn't. There's anything like that on the killer side that's like comparable, because that is a good survivor skill, and it's been one I've been trying to practice lately because I've seen how much that matters in like comp matches. And like, what's the comparable skill on the killer side? Is there something that you can relate that to? Like, hey, that survivor is skilled because they do this thing. What does the killer do that's similar to that we say, oh, well, they're the same level? There's not really anything on there. Like, let's take a killer example. Like, here's a good example. I feel like this is a better example. So moonwalking is a very incredible, like, good skill thing that killers do, and it's not taught in the game. I learned this because I just went through all the bot matches for the free blood points. Moonwalking, you know, that's a specifically a human player versus a human player interaction that is developed in the game, because doing it to bots just doesn't matter because they're not reacting to your red state. But I was just doing it instinctually because like that's how I play the game. So that's something that like we've developed. How does the game even read that? And B, the comparable thing on Survivor would probably be faking windows, because they're both faking things, right? So like if you go to a window or a vault or a pallet and then you just like turn around last second after you convince the killer that you're going that way, that is a comparable skill. But how does the game read that? How is the game reading that? How is it keeping track of that? How does it tell that there was a good... You tricked the killer or survivor on either side by doing a moonwalk or doing a fake. How does it keep track of that? Is it? Probably not. Because, like, how do you? So, like, what constitutes our MMR then? What is making this happen? And can it happen? Because these things don't seem like they can be compared or measured at the very least. I think that's the big thing. They can be compared sometimes, like with the faking and the moonwalking, but they can't be measured. So what is being measured here? And is anything being measured? That's the question. Okay, number 5 is the one I'm probably, you know, the saddest about, because this has been a long-running issue in Dead by Daylight, and it's about to get a lot worse. A lot worse. Character and perk diversity will die off. It just will. Typically, in Dead by Daylight, and I know there's going to be someone in the comments that's like, well, actually, I only run non-meta perks, and I'm so good at the game. Okay, you get a cookie. Congratulations. Go rant on your Twitter about it. Nobody cares, bud. Anyways, most of the perks in the game are either really, really strong or painfully average. Either it's DS, Unbreakable, Dead Hard Sprint Burst, or it's like Second Wind, Inner Strength, what are some other ones? Appraisal, you know, like stuff that's like technically handy. It does help sometimes, like Inner Strength's a great counter to Sloppy Butcher, but otherwise it's just kind of like, you know, probably be better to just go find a teammate and get healed, right? Like you can't compare like the power of something like Deception versus like the power of Decisive Strike. For example, if you're going to run Borrowed Time, you have only 4 perk slots. You could run Borrowed Time on one of those slots, or you could run Better Together. Which one are you picking? Which one are you picking? Which one are you picking? You could run Sprint Burst in one of those 4 slots, or you can run Leader. Which one are you picking? Which one are you picking? And like right now, people can still do that because sometimes the matches aren't sweaty because we don't have a sweaty like skill-based matchmaking system. So sometimes you will get a killer that's just like not too fantastic. So yeah, you can run a full mom build and have a lot of fun. But in new skill-based matchmaking, you're really, really going to be punished for running those fun builds. You're really, really going to have a bad time. And it's that way on the killer side too. Like, ideally, if you want to be winning with killer, It's Ruin Undying, and then either Pop or Tinker or something like that, right? That's what you're going to be running. If you only have 4 perk slots, and you're probably going to be running Barbecue for the blood points, and you're probably going to want to put 2 slowdowns there and then some sort of tracking perk, right? If you're not using Barbecue as the tracking perk. So, like, if we're going to run Pop goes Louise, we're going to run Pop. Are you going to run Pop or Cruel Limits? Which one you running, huh? Which one you running? Are you going to run Pop or are you going to run Mindbreaker? Are you going to run Pop or are you going to run Hoarder? You know, like, it essentially, like, this kills off most of the perks of the game. And this is a problem that the game already had, is that there were so many perks were being underutilized because they weren't effective enough. But, like, people would still run them to have fun and mess around because, you know, sometimes they would get results because, you know, the matchmaking isn't skill-based. But now the matchmaking is going to be skill-based, so if you're running those perks, you're almost 90% of the time you're going to be losing, if not more. So now all those perks that are mostly already not used because they're not very strong are now gonna be run even more because you're gonna be punished more for running them. So you still have mostly like 6 or 7 perks on each side of this already stale as hell meta. Gonna be being run almost exclusively more often because people don't want to get pub stomped. So that means in a game that has so many perks, we're still gonna be using like 6. Thanks. That sounds fun. So yeah, that is 5 reasons that skill-based matchmaking is going to suck. Do you agree with me? And what do you hate the most about the upcoming, what are you afraid of the most when it comes to the skill-based matchmaking that's coming up next patch? I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Don't forget to like and sub-a-roni. Remember, you can take those away. Those aren't permanent. You can unlike this video. You can unsub anytime. So I would really appreciate that. We're trying to grow the channel. We're trying to get up there. I would love to start putting more into this. It's hard to do Twitch full-time and YouTube but full-time at the same time. It's really hard, especially without like an editor or something. But I really want to go hard at both. And, you know, Popsicle makes it. When it's Popsicle, it's possible. If you help me, we'll get there. And we'll get there together. So, yeah. Hopefully you can consider doing that, friendo. Otherwise, I don't think I have anything else for you. Thank you for watching. And if I don't see you in the next video, I'll see you when I see you, friends. Goodbye.